Good morning guys, how are we doing? So today's title is one thing fat loss and weight loss diets all have in common, and it's pretty easy to guess. They all have a calorie deficit. So you need a calorie deficit in order to drop weight, in order to drop body fat, and obviously you need to be doing that over a long time. And the thing that I kind of have a little grudge against hearing all the time is, oh, this diet's the best, that diet's the best, you need to be on this diet, etc. When there is no best diet. There is a best way of eating for you, and that's ultimately the path that you should try and find. You shouldn't try and necessarily just take people's hearsay as gospel and just think that you need to find a diet or follow a diet because it's the best diet that's around because they've said so. So specifically, there's the buzzwords at the minute, the keto diet, intermittent fasting and things like that. All those sort of diets have got their worth in some capacity, but every nutritional protocol out there has some sort of benefit to every individual, and it's up for the individual or up to the coach's individual to find that best way of eating for that person. It may be a modified form of keto, it may be a modified form of, I don't know, intermittent fasting or something like that. It might be carb cycling, it might be a mixture of everything, it might be calorie cycling, whatever it is. But ultimately, when you find a diet which has a calorie deficit, it's got to ultimately fit in with you. And it's got to fit in with your lifestyle so you can consistently perform it and adhere to it day to day. And you know, when people say there is a best diet out there, it's bollocks. There isn't. Okay, they've all got their worth in some capacity for the right individual and for the right person. But when it comes to an individual, you've got to look at all these things, you've got to try them in some capacity, and then you've got to modify elements and be flexible with elements to make sure that you can stick to them long term. Now, we've established obviously that there's a calorie deficit with fat loss and weight loss diets, otherwise they wouldn't work. Okay, you need to find some sort of calorie deficit. But one thing that a lot of kind of weight loss and fat loss diets out there don't have with them is enough protein. They don't give you enough protein with them. Okay, now protein is massively important for you and your body, not just to help maintain and help build muscle mass for things like improving your productivity throughout the day, things like making you feel full and keeping you satisfied with what you're eating, and also helping with the ability of fat loss as well. And you know, talking about certain diets, obviously I'm not going to name names, but there's a lot out there. They're just concerned with a negative on the scale, and not necessarily the composition that's being lost, whether someone's losing too much muscle and things like that. And as a result, I don't feel that a lot of these diets out there get enough protein in for the individual. Now, just as a rule of thumb, I give my clients anything between 1.5 and up to 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight. So let's say it's 2 grams per kilogram of body weight. If there's a 100 kilogram individual, they're going to be on 200 grams of protein a day. Now, a lot of these diets don't even touch that. They'll be lucky if you touch half the amount of that. And protein really is that important to the individual. So that's one thing I'd look out for. But ultimately, guys, I'm going live here on this video today to basically say you need to find a way of eating, A, that does achieve a calorie deficit for you if you want to achieve weight loss, if you want to drop some fat. But B, you've got to find a way of eating for you. So you've got to take bits from everywhere, whether it's take bits from, I don't know, the ketogenic diet or you know, intermittent fastings, or you know, with the 16-8 protocol, 16 hours fasting, 8 hours eating, actually fits quite well in with your lifestyle. But also you want to eat foods that you love and enjoy, which then kind of quash the ketogenic diet, because ultimately with the ketogenic diet, you're not eating carbs, you're depriving yourself of the foods that you love and enjoy. So you've got to kind of have the weigh up, you've got to have the balancing act. Now there's one thing and one question I'll leave you with today, you know, and a lot of people contact me, you know, saying, oh, I'm following the ketogenic diet and I feel great off it, blah, blah. And it's like, well, that's great, that's absolutely brilliant. But ultimately, can you maintain that long term? And I would actually doubt that they can maintain that long term. And what I'm getting at here is, if you are achieving a calorie deficit and you are seeing results off it, surely that is then scope for you guys to not deprive yourselves of the foods you love and enjoy. And I see too much of this at the minute, and this is why the people yo-yo up and down and go around in circles. So ultimately they start, and 4 weeks later they fall off a cliff again and end up back at square one. It's because they start these diets and follow them to the letter, but because there's so much food restriction, there's so limited amount of foods they can eat, they can't have the foods that they love and enjoy. Because that's the case, they ultimately rebel and then go back to square one. Whereas my opinion and my way of working with my clients is that, right, we achieve a calorie deficit to start off with, right, let's see how we go, let's see what the results bring, and we include foods in the right amounts that they love and enjoy. And what that tends to do is help keep them motivated. It helps them find food a lot more working for them, and a lot more flavoursome. They find it a lot, you know, they enjoy it for starters. But long-term adherence is a lot greater because you're still giving them the foods that they love and enjoy. If they don't see the results they want, then we have to address that and we look at that. But surely the fact is that if you can achieve a calorie deficit, guys, and you can start seeing results of that, that's surely more scope to start bringing in the foods you love and enjoy, rather than just simply thinking all the time, right, I'm following this type of diet to the letter, and it's telling me to deprive myself of these foods, which I love and enjoy, which you know in the past hasn't been great for you long term in sticking to it. So what I would say is, take the bits from all the diets, maybe all the diets you've tried before in the past, but start eating for you, start eating for your lifestyle, start eating towards your goals, making sure that what you start you enjoy, okay, you don't find it so much of a chore. Make sure it's results driven, i.e. it's responsive, so that your body is responding to it in the right way. And finally, just make sure that you can maintain it long term, which 9 times out of 10, if you cover all those points, you should be able to adhere to it long term. And that's your spin on nutrition, that's your nutritional plan, very unique, okay, taking bits from everywhere, and it's not just following one thing because someone has told you it's the best diet going around. So that's just my bit today, guys. Have a great Friday. I know the weather's not great in the UK at the minute, so hopefully it'll pick up probably over the weekend. But have a great day and have a great weekend as well.